And after like the first World Cup,
Amazing, amazing, amazing.
there were definitely people who were like, yeah, you won, but like Akio and Yanya weren't there.
Natalia Grossman winning back-to-back in Salt Lake City.
The climbs are too easy.
Is very intentional with how
I'm gonna get shut down on like steep boulders and how I only did well because it was slab.
Up she goes.
And so it just like felt undeserved kind of. And that was like something I really struggled with for like a while.
So what made it feel deserved? We'll start with an easy one. How did you get into climbing?
So I used to live really close to a climbing gym, and I just like happened to walk by it one day, and I wasn't old enough to climb there since you had to be 6. And I was pretty bummed, but my parents were like, yeah, if you still remember this place like in 2 years, we can come back. And then I still remembered when I turned 6, so I went back and then just started going like once a week for like kids climb, and then more and more.
So you or your family, your parents moved to Boulder when you were 15 so that you could do the ABC program with Robin Herbesfield. Did you feel like that ever added any pressure?
It's weird because the year I moved there was actually my worst competition, or like the year after I moved there was like my worst season. I didn't make the team in like either sport or bouldering for the first time. Maybe I was like feeling the pressure and that's why I didn't perform well, but I honestly don't remember because that was a while ago.
So you made a really nice post when Brooke qualified for the Olympics, and Brooke was super supportive of you throughout the 2021 season. She always seemed excited. What's it been like being able to train with someone who you're that close with, but also then having to compete against? Kind of what's the dynamic there?
Mm-hmm. I love it. Like I don't know, our relationship is, I feel like, really special. And it's not a relationship I have with many people. Just like with a lot of the other girls, like everyone was let the competitive side, like, I don't know, they held more importance on that than the friendship side. And so people weren't always psyched if like you did well or if you beat them. But with us, like I think it's always just been that we've been happy for the other person, and just knowing that like someone like believes in you and like supports you and like knows you can do it. I remember in ISO, it was lead finals, and like I was so mentally done more than anything, just like from being in that headspace for so long. I just like turned around and I see like Brooke like dancing, and I'm like, how is she still going? And then like afterwards we were talking about it, and she's like, well, I saw you like looking hyped, and that like she's like, I was just faking it. And I was like, I was just faking it. And so we were using each other's like fake energy to try and like stay psyched. I was like, I guess fake it till you make it, but we made it.
Talk to me about the 2019 competition season, because you said in a climbing.com article that by the end you were feeling burned out, and obviously it was kind of a different season with the Olympic qualifiers and you were competing in seniors. So how do you feel looking back on that now?
I think there were so many emotions like at the World Championships, and like so much stress. Like you could just feel the tension because it was like the first Olympic qualifiers, and that's not like what I went there to do, but like that was the goal for so many athletes. That yeah, I think just being in that environment for like 2 weeks was really draining for me. People were having fun, but like if you walked in, like everyone was just like dead serious, like
Yeah,
I don't know, it just wasn't as fun. And I remember I got like sick at the end of it, and I like kept competing, and I just like didn't feel good. And then I had to go straight to Youth Worlds, and I just remember getting there and I'm like, I feel so like tired and done. Like I was so mentally done more than anything, just like from being in that headspace for so long. And then after like Youth Worlds, I had like I had fun, and like it was a good time, and like it went like very well. But after that, I was just like, I need a break. And I was actually not really gonna do I was considering like not doing any comps that year, but I ended up just taking like 2 months off, I think, from competitions. So I had that time to like start college, and I think just like making friends and like meeting new people who weren't climbers like really helped me. And like I just got to take a step back away and just like train by myself and like do school. And then I went to the first comp and did like really well. And I was like, okay, I'm psyched. Like I'm ready.
We're back.
Yeah.
So was that like the national cup? Like that?
Yeah,
first
that
comp?
was the first national cup. And then I did the rest and they were all going really well. And I was like, okay, like I love this. I just needed those like 2 months off.
So in 2019, you were, I think, the 23rd ranked competition climber in the world. 2021 now, you're the first ranked competition climber in the world. Like, what happened? Like, what caused that?
I think at the end of like 2019 and like 2020, I was starting to like progress. And I think the 2020 season like would have been, and it would have like closed the gap a bit.
Was there any shift in mentality? Because you just came into 2021 and you look like you were having so much fun. So like, did something change in terms of how you approach competitions?
No, yeah, I guess there was a big switch, and just especially the World Cups this past year, after like not being able to really compete for like over a year, I just like went into it like completely refreshed and like very psyched. And at the end of the day, I was just so like grateful that I had the opportunity to be there competing, because so many other sports like still weren't allowed to travel. And I just like, I was focused on the competition, but it was just so much more than a competition. It was about like getting to travel. It was about getting to like hang out with the team. Like it was the first time that USA Climbing like started funding World Cups, and like booking all our travel and like doing everything together. Yeah, I think I put less importance like on the actual climbing itself. Like obviously I like went to the comps and like wanted to do my best, but at the end of the day, like I was able to take that step back and be like, wow, like I'm in France right now with like my best friends, and like this is like what I've always wanted.
Okay, so Salt Lake City, women's 4, you had 3 tops. Oriane Bertone had 3 tops and a zone, and you were last out. That big dynamic move, it came down to like a minute left, and you couldn't stick it. What was going through your mind?
Yeah, I've been asked that like a couple times, and I honestly don't even remember. I know I definitely started to like doubt myself. I was like, okay, like my legs were like burning because I was just rapid firing, and I don't really know what switched. It was like every time I was going, like my foot would slip, like I'd get the timing wrong. And so I just like took a deep breath, and I don't know, right before I went, like the crowd started cheering and like everyone was really psyched, and I kind of just stuck it. Definitely a highlight of last year.
And then the next World Cup, Janja Garnbret was competing in it. I did the math. You were the first woman in 926 days to beat Janja in a bouldering competition across any event. Did it feel different going up against someone who's like that established and kind of that dominant?
I mean, after like the first World Cup, like there were definitely people who were like, yeah, you won, but like Akio and Janja weren't there, kind of like playing it down, which is like fair. Like, yeah, they weren't there. So I think I felt a lot of pressure the next weekend to be like, okay, like it wasn't like a fluke that I performed well. Like I really wanted to like make finals again and just like prove to myself too that like I could do it. And then yeah, after finals, I was like pretty surprised. But I think it was hard for me because there were a lot of people who were also, I don't know, I need to not pay attention to the haters, but like a lot of people were like, oh, like the climbs are too easy, which like, yeah, they were a lot easier than normal. And so it just like felt undeserved kind of. And that was like something I really struggled with for like a while.
So what made it feel deserved?
It was Brooke actually who told me, and she was like, it's not always going to be the strongest person who wins. Sometimes it's like who performs better. And like you performed better that day. Like no one can take that away from you. I thought that was like, I was like, that's true. Cause like, I know she's stronger than me, like, but it's like, I performed better that day, like on those 4 boulders. And so I don't know. Yeah. I think that set up a lot of pressure more so for like Innsbruck to be like, okay, I have all these people saying how like I didn't deserve it and like how I'm gonna get shut down on like steep boulders and how I only did well because it was slab, which is funny because I consider myself like a steep climber, not a slab climber. So I was like, oh, thank you. And so yeah, like going into Innsbruck, I was like, okay, like I felt like I had to perform for other people, and that was not a feeling that I really liked. And I was able to like perform well. And I was like very happy with like all of my rounds, especially in finals. Like I was psyched to like we only had 3 climbs because of the rain, but I was really happy that I was like able to do all of those, even though I had like many more attempts than, I mean, Janja flashed them all. And I had a lot, but for me, it's not like about trying to beat one person. In my mind, it's like you shouldn't compete just to like beat someone. When I do become very focused on like other people, it just like doesn't go well. So I've learned that just focusing on myself and like having more fun for like helps me. But like it's like I do want to win, but it's more having fun with it and like not being as serious, because that's like when I'm gonna do my best.